Collection of Machiavelli's quotes. Edited by Julien Hyun. Machiavelli, 1469–1527, was an Italian historian, diplomat, politician, and writer during the Renaissance period. Machiavelli left behind many notable quotes. The quotes of this 15th-century historian and politician remain a significant cultural heritage that continues to inspire people even in the 21st century. This is a collection of quotes that showcase Machiavelli's passionate thoughts and insights. These are particularly impressive and admirable sentences excerpted and translated from Machiavelli's major works. The Prince au Principe, 1513, and Discourses on Livy, Discourses. Sopra la prima decada di Tito Livio, 1517, especially regarding princes and politics. The editor has occasionally added brief explanations. The excerpted quotes are categorized into 6 by the editor's discretion with appropriate titles. Machiavelli's writing is concise yet powerful. His sentences leave a strong impression because he penetrates the essence of human nature and politics with direct expressions without circumlocution. Moreover, Machiavelli's unique realistic perspective views even past history as vivid reality, leaving behind many quotes that form the foundation of modern political science. Readers will deeply resonate with Machiavelli's thoughts and philosophy while contemplating his quotes. Above all, they will gain a deeper understanding of human nature and develop insight into viewing and analyzing politics realistically. November 2024. The Editor. Please subscribe. 1. On forms of government. A monarchy easily degenerates into tyranny, an aristocracy into oligarchy, and democracy into anarchy. Discourses on Livy, Book 1, Chapter 2. Machiavelli divides forms of government into monarchy, aristocracy, and democracy. In The Prince, he emphasizes the advantages of monarchy, while in Discourses on Livy, he emphasizes the advantages of democracy. And the form of government changes according to the historical situation of the state. Contrary to the general opinion that when the masses hold power, they are changeable, fickle, and ungrateful, I am convinced that these defects exist not only in the masses but also in individual princes. Discourses on Livy, Book 1, Chapter 58. Regarding prudence and stability, I firmly assert that the masses are more prudent, stable, and have better judgment than princes. Indeed, there is reason for the saying that the voice of the people is the voice of God. Discourses on Livy, Book 1, Chapter 58. While fickleness is human nature present in both the masses and princes, the prudence and stability of the masses are advantages of democracy compared to monarchy. A dissolute prince incurs the hatred of the people, and feeling fear from this hatred, he turns to cruelty, which leads to tyrannical rule. Discourses on Livy, Book 1, Chapter 2. 2. On qualities a prince should possess. A prince needs the dual qualities of being half man and half beast. Without either aspect, a prince cannot maintain his position long. A prince must know how to use both the nature of the beast and that of man. He must possess the nature of both the fox and the lion, for the lion cannot defend himself from traps, and the fox cannot protect himself from wolves. One must be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. The Prince, Chapter 18. Those princes who have the qualities of the fox have achieved the greatest prosperity. A prince must skillfully pretend and become both a deceiver and dissembler. The Prince, Chapter 18. A prince must combine the wisdom of the fox and the courage of the lion, where the fox's nature should especially be exhibited in matters of national interest, particularly in war and diplomacy. A prince need not possess all virtuous qualities, but he must appear to possess them. The Prince, Chapter 18. A prince must take care that people think of him as sincere, faithful, consistent in word and deed, compassionate and devout. The Prince, Chapter 18. A prince becomes despised when he is seen as fickle, frivolous, effeminate, cowardly, and irresolute. The Prince, Chapter 19. First, a prince must cultivate an appearance of good qualities and many virtues to gain the trust of the people. A prince who seeks to maintain his power must learn not to be virtuous, and to use or not use this knowledge according to necessity. The Prince, chapter 15. A prince, especially a new prince, must understand that to maintain his state, he must often act against good faith, against charity, against humanity, and against religion. Therefore, it is a mistake if he thinks to make himself beloved by the people through goodness alone. Thus, a prince must know how to act according to the changes of fortune and circumstances. The Prince, chapter 18. Sometimes a prince needs to maintain a dual attitude in real politics. 3. On human nature. Above all, one must abstain from taking others' property, for men forget the death of their father more quickly than the loss of their patrimony. The Prince, chapter 17. Human nature is full of vanity, envious of others' success, and insatiable in the pursuit of self-interest. Discourses on Livy, Book 1, chapter 29. Men are more ready to betray the one they love than the one they fear. This is because men are wicked and will break bonds of love when it serves their interests. But fear holds them bound by the dread of punishment that never leaves them. The Prince, chapter 17. Men generally judge more by their eyes than by their hands. For everyone can see, but few can feel. The Prince, chapter 18. Men are so simple of mind, and so much dominated by their immediate needs, that a deceitful man will always find plenty who are ready to be deceived. The Prince, chapter 18. While crowds often show boldness in criticizing the decisions of their prince, when faced with punishment, they become distrustful of each other and quick to submit to the prince. Discourses on Livy, Book 1, chapter 57. It is necessary to understand and utilize the characteristics of the masses, who are prone to following trends and lacking organization. People are hesitant toward new orders because they are skeptical of new leadership, and due to human instinct, do not believe in new things until they have been confirmed by long experience. The Prince, chapter 6.
4. 안메서즈 어브 거버넌스.
In the actions of princes, only the results matter. Therefore, let a prince win and maintain his state, the means will always be judged honorable and praised by everyone. The Prince, chapter 18. A wise person should never condemn anyone for using extraordinary measures to establish a kingdom or republic. Though the actions may be condemnable, if the result is good, it always justifies the means. As in the case of Romulus, when the outcome is good, it always justifies the means. Discourses on Livy, Book 1, chapter 9. If a prince must choose between being feared or loved, it is safer to be feared than loved. This is because men are by nature ungrateful, fickle, dissemblers, avoiders of danger, and greedy for gain. The Prince, chapter 17. In governing the people, a prince must remember that he must either win them over or destroy them. For men will take revenge for small injuries, but cannot do so for great ones. Therefore, any harm done to a man must be of such a kind that there is no fear of revenge. The Prince, chapter 3. This emphasizes the stern severity and cruelty that a prince must possess. Armed prophets have succeeded, while unarmed ones have been destroyed. This is because people's nature is fickle. It is easy to persuade them of something, but difficult to keep them in that persuasion. Therefore, when they no longer believe, you must be able to make them believe by force. The Prince, chapter 6. A prince governs his people more through actual force than through words. Sudden institutional reforms are harmful to all. Defects that are easily recognized are not easily corrected, because normal means are insufficient, and one must resort to extraordinary means such as violence or arms. Discourses on Livy, Book 1, chapter 18. We learn how harmful it is for a prince or republic to keep their subjects in constant fear through continuous punishments and violence. Discourses on Livy, Book 1, chapter 45. A conquering prince should inflict all his cruelties at once, not daily over time. Then he must reassure people by never repeating such acts, and win over the public mind by showing benevolence. The Prince, chapter 8. According to Machiavelli, while people obey a cruel prince out of fear, Such cruelty should be exercised only once briefly, and instead the prince should make the people feel his benevolence. Princes should not complain about the faults committed by the people under their rule. Such faults are entirely the result of their own negligence, or similar defects in their governance. Discourses on Livy, Book 3, Chapter 29. Machiavelli criticizes the prince's poor governance, arguing that people's crimes stem from imitating the ruler's wicked behavior. To understand a prince, observe his ministers. If they are capable and loyal, one can say the prince is wise, for he has recognized their ability and secured their loyalty. The Prince, Chapter 22. To counter flattery from courtiers, the only solution is for the prince to make it widely known that speaking truth to him will never anger him. However, when people feel free to tell the truth to the prince, they lose respect for him. The prince should appoint wise counselors and give only them the freedom to speak truth to him. The Prince, Chapter 23. Regarding subordinates, never retract a decision once made. This will impress upon them that they cannot deceive or manipulate the prince. The Prince, Chapter 19. 5. On people's hatred and favor. A prince must first strive to avoid being hated by many. If this is impossible, he must at least avoid the hatred of the most powerful groups. The Prince, Chapter 19. Above all, a prince must guard against being despised and hated. The Prince, Chapter 16. If a prince must be feared while not being loved, he must avoid being hated. The Prince, Chapter 17. It is difficult to attack a prince whose city is well fortified, and who is not hated by his people. The Prince, Chapter 10. Examining the Italian princes who lost their states reveals their common flaws. First, military weaknesses, and second, either they earned the people's hatred or, if they had the people's favor, they failed to secure the noble's protection. The Prince, Chapter 24. A prince must make the people favorable to him. Without this, he has no security in adversity. The Prince, Chapter 9. A wise prince should arrange matters so that citizens will always, and in all circumstances, need the state and himself. Then they will always be faithful to him. The Prince, Chapter 9. Tyrants who make friends with the common people and enemies of the nobles maintain power more securely than those who ally with the nobles and make enemies of the people. Discourses on Livy, Book 1, Chapter 40. 6. On military, alliances, and diplomacy. When a powerful foreign force invades, smaller states quickly ally with the new external power due to their resentment against the dominant power that had been oppressing them. Therefore, it is not difficult to rule over minor states that have the psychology of siding with the stronger party. The Prince, Chapter 3. According to Machiavelli, only when a country is strong like Rome can it form genuine alliances with neighboring countries, and a country that forms alliances through money is a weak state. The Romans never acquired cities with money, never purchased peace, but always relied on their military might. Discourses on Livy, Book 2, Chapter 30. Auxiliary troops are always harmful to those who request them, because if you lose, you are utterly ruined, and if you win, you become their prisoner. The Prince, Chapter 13. I have said that a good military is the foundation of the state, and without it, good laws or anything else are useless. Discourses on Livy, Book 3, Chapter 31. When a prince leads an army and commands many soldiers, it is necessary to disregard accusations of cruelty. The Prince, Chapter 17. A commander who possesses extreme cruelty along with other abilities always appears respectable and fearsome in the eyes of his soldiers. The Prince, Chapter 17. To preserve his state, a prince must sometimes act against virtue. When the people, soldiers, or nobles are corrupt, the prince must satisfy them to maintain his position. In such cases, good actions harm the prince. The Prince, Chapter 19. If a prince fears his own people more than foreign powers, he should build fortresses conversely. If he fears foreign powers more than his own people, he should not build them. The Prince, Chapter 19. A prince gains great respect when he openly declares his support or opposition in times of war. That is, when he clearly shows his allegiance or enmity without hesitation. This approach is far more advantageous than remaining neutral. If the victor is formidable, there is danger of being destroyed if one's position was not made clear. This would also satisfy the losing side. The Prince, chapter 21. This chapter emphasizes the importance of military strength, clear alliances, and decisive action in international relations. Machiavelli's practical approach to military matters and diplomacy shows his understanding of power, politics, and the real-world dynamics between states. 7. On fortune. Men follow the paths laid out by fortune, but they cannot break them. However, one should never despair for all these reasons. Discourses on Livy, Book 2, Chapter 29. Fortune is a woman, and if you wish to control her, you must treat her roughly and forcefully. The Prince, chapter 25. These quotes encapsulate Machiavelli's view of fate and human agency, the tension between destiny and free will, and his metaphorical characterization of fortune as a female force that must be mastered through bold action. The end. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel.